Hey Internet, Acid Jane here, and welcome to another episode of Rebuilding Willow Creek. As you can see from the title of this video, at least I think I know what the title's gonna be at this point, today we are building a cozy craftsman build. If you want to download this build, it is available in the gallery. My origin ID is kaligulaYT. Yeah, I'm gonna change it to something Acid Jane related sometime soon, don't you worry, I'll let you know when I do. This build, like all of my other Rebuilding Willow Creek builds, was inspired by a house that exists in the town that I just moved from. I really liked this house because even though it was extremely small, so it's extremely narrow, no more than 9 squares wide, it has a really intricate shape, and so I thought that that would make for a lot of interesting shaped rooms. You know, I tend to make too many square rooms, and I also thought that it would just be a lot of fun to play around with the roof on this one. So I actually had a pretty easy time building the exterior of this build. Well, that's not exactly true. I had a pretty easy time with the shape of this build, but I had so much trouble trying to figure out what colors to use on the exterior, and I also had a ton of trouble trying to furnish the interior because, like my last Rebuilding Willow Creek build, I really wanted this to be either a starter home or a semi-starter home, so one that is less than 30,000 simoleons rather than less than 20,000 simoleons. And I did manage to make it a semi-starter home, but it's very sparsely furnished on the inside. So the reason why this house was so hard to make into, well, it was impossible to make into a starter home and nearly impossible to make into a semi-starter home. The reason for that was because there are a lot of walls on the inside, and you know, walls are a huge chunk of money, a very big chunk of money. And I did end up going with a couple of the more expensive items on the inside. I guess I'll talk more about that when we get there in just a second, but I could have done a few things to make the interior a little bit cheaper, but not much, honestly. So you can see that I've decided to go with the cats and dogs windows for this build. I really like that I use so many of those big round windows. I tend to avoid those just because I like to choose windows that are all the same shape, but I decided to just go with those round cats and dogs windows on this build, and I really like how that looks in the end. And you could also see that I decided to go with this green paneling on the exterior. I thought about using this green paneling on the exterior of my last Rebuilding Willow Creek build, but because that house was so big, it just seemed like so much. And this house, it's not tiny, but I think because it's not so wide, because it's such a narrow house, that it just doesn't seem so overwhelming, all of this green paneling. I also used a touch of the white cats and dogs shingles up at the rooftop, and I decided to go with a very chocolatey color for the roof texture, just because I felt like there were so many cool tones on the outside that I needed to add a little darkness and also a little bit of warmth to make it all fit together. So you can see now that I'm working on the interior of this build, and like I said, I had so much trouble with this interior. I must have worked on the kitchen of this interior for, I don't know, like 2 hours. I didn't end up recording that. Well, I did record it. I just scrapped those recordings because they were ridiculously long. But I did end up experimenting with the kitchen off camera and trying to figure out where to place all the cabinets and how to use the cabinets most efficiently, considering the budget. And this is what I came up with. This is the best that I could do. So I don't know why I was having such a problem with this kitchen. I think part of it was just because I really hated the stove and the refrigerator, and they just look gross, and they just seem to look so bad when you place them next to clean cabinets. And so I was really wanting to put them next to each other for a while just to kind of mask their grossness by putting them close together, but that didn't really work out. I also was having some trouble fitting in cabinets around that big round window. So I thought about getting rid of the window for a while, but I really liked it, and I thought it would be really nice to have Sims look out that window while they're working in the kitchen. So I decided to keep it, but I end up doing this weird thing where I have a corner cabinet, one off to the side, and then another corner cabinet and one off to the side, but none connecting those two pairs, which it bothers me a little, but it was the best I could come up with, okay? All the cabinets are white now with a black top, but I do end up changing them in the end, not to this bright blue, but to a warm wooden tone with a white top. I think I end up going with the one with the white top. Ooh, or do I go with the one with the dark brown top? I'm not sure, but I do warm it up a bit, but still keep it pretty neutral. Speaking of neutral, the interior of this build is extremely neutral for my taste. So if you're familiar with my builds, you know that I love color. I love color a lot, but in this build we've got gray walls, we've got plain wooden floors, we've got cream colored carpets. It's very plain, most of this build. You can see that I was attracted to the idea of bringing in color in the dining area, but I don't know, I couldn't make it look right, and I just really wasn't liking how it looked every time I tried to incorporate color, so I ended up just going with silver chairs and a silver table. I also was trying to find a way to bring in color with the couch, but it just seemed out of place, so I think I end up going with either a dark brown couch or a slightly dark brown couch. And I think I also put in a very pale lavender chair. I think it's the futon chair. And I do also add in a bit more color with the staircase in this build. I had some trouble trying to pick out what color I wanted for the staircase because, you know, the lighting is always a little bit funny on staircases, so it's hard to match the tones, the wood tones of staircases to wood tones in the room. And so I had some trouble trying to figure out what color I wanted the staircase to be, but I end up going with this muted brown that has this really beautiful railing that has a little white accent on it. And I really like how that looks. So you can see that there is a room off to the side of the living room. There's actually one off to the kitchen as well. That's a little half bath, but the one that is off to the side of the living room is currently an office, but you could have it be a third bedroom easily, very easily. I decided to make it into an office because I really wanted to include a desk with a computer in this room, and also just because I didn't want to furnish another bedroom because I was really pushing the budget on this build. I also could have saved money by not including that window seat, but come on, how could I not include that window seat when there was just a perfect little nook for it? So you can see that I'm moving on now to the upstairs and that I'm trying to furnish this bedroom as well as the other bedroom as well. So I end up making this a master bedroom, one for adults. And the reason why it's the master bedroom is because it's the biggest bedroom and also because it has an attached bath. That attached bath is not furnished at all, however. I ran out of money. The half bath downstairs is furnished and the main bathroom upstairs is furnished. You'll see me furnish it in just a second. But the master bath, it's got nothing. Sorry, I just ran out of money. So this master bedroom has a bed, of course. It also has a dresser and a nightstand. I might actually end up deleting the bedside lamp after a while because I ran out of money. And that's it. You can see that I thought about putting in a mirror and also this rubber tree plant for a while. I really like that rubber tree plant, but there was no room for it in the budget of this build, so I ended up getting rid of it pretty soon. You can see that I'm now working on the main bathroom upstairs. There's not much to this bathroom because there's just not much to the interior of this build because, like I said, I had very little money. But you've got a toilet, you've got a double sink. There's no mirror above the double sink because I was gonna put one in if I could afford it, and I wasn't able to afford it. But I do include this nice bathtub shower combo that we got with Parenthood, and I really like that that has that shower curtain. I love this bed that I chose for the kids' bedroom or the teenager's bedroom. It would be suitable for either a kid or a teenager, but it's just such a cute bed that I think is from the kids' room stuff pack. It's one of the more muted shades. of that bed, one of the more muted swatches, but it's really gorgeous and I really love it with this purple wallpaper as well. So you can see now that I'm starting to make little adjustments to the sizes of the lights, trying to delete as many lights as I can without it still being too dark, and that I'm also working on furnishing this office downstairs. There's not much to it, just a bookshelf and a computer desk with a cheap old computer on top. So now I'm working on the exterior of this build. You can see that I'm trying to reposition the lot, and the reason why I end up moving it more to one side is because there is a lot of space for additions to the side of the house. So the house is completely flat on one of the sides, and so if your Sims that you move in here eventually wanted to add on to the house, they could pretty easily. So I had a very small budget for landscaping, so I couldn't do much. So I just did some terrain painting to make the foundation look like it had been there for a while. Added in a few cheap trees. I think these trees were like 30 simoleons a piece, which I was very, very thankful for. And I was able to size them up so they actually looked like they were worth more money than they actually are. And I added in a mailbox, and that was about it. So we're coming up now on the screenshots of this build. I really hope that you enjoyed this build. I really hope that you've been enjoying what I've been building in Willow Creek so far. I think that this was actually my shortest speed build ever, so also let me know if you like the length of this speed build. Ideally, I'd like to make my speed builds shorter than they usually are, but you know, I gotta get better at building in order to really be able to do that. But anyway, thank you so much for watching this video. Please know how much I appreciate your support, and I will talk to you in another video very soon. Goodbye!